بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم.
The story starts with a woman. She was getting dinner ready when suddenly the skin on her hand started to tear open. Within seconds, sharp spikes burst out of her arm. The pain was so intense she couldn't even scream, but the real horror hit her when razor-sharp spikes started growing inside her eyes. She was crying and trying to pull them out when her little daughter, scared, came running to her. But the woman's pain was so unbearable that one of the spikes shot straight into the girl's hand. Seeing this, the girl's father, Satya, quickly grabbed her and rushed her into their room. In a strict tone, he said, "Don't open the door, I'm going to help your mother." But as soon as he stepped out, loud, violent noises echoed through the hallway. Then suddenly, Satya let out a terrifying scream, and everything went silent. Panicked, the girl went to the door, but no one answered. Out of nowhere, something slammed right into the center of the door. The girl fell backward as the door cracked, and the room was swallowed in darkness. Moments later, the chaos outside came to a sudden stop. Gathering courage, she peeked through the broken crack. What she saw was enough to haunt her sleep for the rest of her life. After some time, the police arrived and rescued the girl who was lying unconscious. When she woke up and entered the living room, she saw her parents lying there soaked in blood. She broke down in tears. At that moment, a woman in her 40s walked in. She said she was the girl's father's first wife. Seeing the crying child, she decided to take her home and raise her. 20 years later, the girl, now named Yulan, had grown up. But her life was nothing less than a prison. She had to do all the household chores. And on top of that, a woman named Liz, who called herself her stepsister, treated her like a servant. Liz's elderly mother stayed bedridden, and Yulan took care of her day and night. Deep inside, Yulan had already understood that she was kept in this house just so they could settle an old score. Because many years ago, Yulan's real mother had stolen Liz's husband's love. One night, Lars's son, Dean, brought out a spirit summoning board just for fun. As soon as he started chanting strange spells, the door of the room creaked open on its own. Dean freezes in fear, but it's only Julie who comes inside, bringing medicine for his grandmother Amber. The old woman's condition was already fragile. Right before dying, she whispered some extremely poisonous words into Julie's ear. Words so dark, they could shake a person's soul. Moments later, she died in Laz's arms. The next day, they held her funeral. The family was giving Amber their final kisses goodbye. But when Julie leaned in, Amber suddenly opened her eyes. Julie screamed in terror. The people there didn't understand what was happening. In anger, Lord slapped Julie and accused her of disrespecting his mother. Like all the abuse she had endured since childhood, Julie stayed silent, even now. She didn't argue with anyone. Days went by. Julie started helping at the family's grocery store. One day, she noticed an employee trying to slip a customer's money into his own pocket. Julie quickly snatched the cash away so she could give it to Laraz. But right then, Laraz arrived and instead accused Julie of stealing. And it didn't stop there. She even insulted Yuli's mother and then started beating Yuli. Years of pain burst out at once. Julie made up her mind. She wasn't going to take it anymore. Yano took her to a deserted mountainous area, far away from town. There stood an old half-ruined monastery. And this was where Yuli's life was about to take a turn she could never come back from. Carrying all her pain in her heart, Julie met with a shaman. In her hands were old photographs of Laz's family. The moment the shaman looked at them, he said there was a very dangerous ritual that could fulfill her wish, but it carried a risk to her life. The ritual required a corpse that had not been dead for more than 40 days. And if the dead person belonged to the same family she wanted to curse, the effect would multiply several times over. Hearing that, Julie asked Yano to help her dig up the grave of the old woman, Amber. At midnight, the two dug up her body and took it to an abandoned, run-down house. A little while later, the shaman arrived. He asked Yano to wait outside and took Julie inside to begin the ritual. First, Julie sacrificed a black rooster and collected its blood in a bowl. Then, she poured the blood over a dried skull. After that, the shaman told to crack a raw egg, then tied a piece of paper to a black thread. The names of that family's members were written on it. The two of them began chanting together. A few seconds later, the mouth of the dead woman's corpse slowly opened, and a long worm started crawling out. As soon as the paper reached near her mouth, the worm yanked it inside with force. And at that very moment, the ritual was complete. The shaman warned, "Now this ritual cannot be stopped no matter what. If you try to quit in the middle, the curse will turn against you, and no one will survive its backlash." Meanwhile, on the other side, Laras's daughter Tika was praying at night. She had no idea that a bluish mist like a wandering spirit had already entered their home. After a while, the family photo hanging on the wall suddenly fell and shattered on the floor. Tika went downstairs to check. Her foot stepped on the broken glass on the stairs, making her scream in pain. She was just about to clean the wound when she heard a strange sound coming from her grandmother Amber's room. She went inside and saw that Amber's bed was completely empty. As she turned around, the water bowl kept on the bed and suddenly crashed to the floor. Curious, she bent down to pick it up, and something so terrifying appeared right in front of her that she stumbled back in fear. Panicked, Tika ran into Julie and told her everything. Julie tried to calm her down and said, "You're just tired. It's all in your head. Go to sleep." But the moment Tika left, a cold, dangerous smile appeared on Julie's face. It was clear now. The ritual had started showing its effect. The next morning, Tika told her mom about everything. She said the photo couldn't have fallen on its own. Fear had already settled in her heart. Then Dean said maybe their grandma's spirit was wandering nearby because last night when he was playing with a Ouija board, someone was answering his questions. Tika panicked and suggested that everyone should pray together for Amber's peace that night. As evening came, the whole family sat down to pray for her soul. But Tika kept staring at that same broken picture frame on the wall. Her breathing grew heavy, like something was pulling her in. Suddenly, a horrifying vision appeared right in front of her. She was about to scream when it vanished. Just a hallucination, but the fear is still clearly reflected in her eyes. She grabbed her mother's arm and held on tight. Meanwhile, Dean was alone in his room playing with the board. He asked, "Grandma, if you're here, please give me a sign." And shockingly, the board started to move on its own. With every letter, his heart pounded faster. On the other hand, Julie was taking the next step in her dark ritual. She tightly tied Dean's name to a thread and slowly pushed it inside that rotten corpse. At that very moment, words started forming on Dean's board non-stop. When he put all the letters together, the message he saw made his breath stop. Suddenly, a tiny bug crawled inside his ear. The next second, his head felt like it was exploding. He screamed in pain. Down in the hall, the prayer was over when Tika heard the screams coming from upstairs. She ran and banged on her brother's door. But inside, Dean seemed completely controlled by some other force. He slowly picked up the board lying on the floor and then began smashing it against his own head with full strength. Tika broke the door open, and the next moment, a spray of blood hit her in the face. Dean's screams had stopped. By the time their parents arrived, everything was over. Yona was standing at the door, fully aware of who was responsible. But he decided to stay silent. Sometime later, once the funeral was over, Yono pulled Julie aside. Angry, he said, "What was the child's fault? He was your own blood. Why so much hatred?" But Julie had crossed all limits of madness. She threatened him. "You're equally responsible in this. I won't let myself be left alone." Yono had no words left. He finally understood. Goodness doesn't work everywhere. Tika was shattered by Dean's death. Crying, she went to her teacher and told her that something evil was coming for their family. Her teacher told her, "Don't skip the night prayers. Pray with a true heart." Tika returned home and did exactly that with full faith. The next morning, chaos erupted at home. Lars and her husband Rudy got into a heated argument. Their son's death was destroying them both, but Lars wanted to go out to manage the shop. Rudy was upset, but as the son-in-law, decisions were not his to make. They both left for the shop. Standing nearby, Julie watched everything and smiled. Some items accidentally fell in the store, and Lars took her anger out on Rudy. Julie immediately took advantage of the situation. She went to Rudy, bandaged a small cut on his hand, and sweetly said that she would take care of the rest of the mess herself. As soon as Rudy left, Julie purposely dropped a few bottles so Lars would get angry again. When Lars came back, she scolded Julie, and Rudy stepped in to defend her. The husband and wife started arguing loudly, while Julie standing behind them smiled even wider. That night, Julie found Rudy alone and began to take advantage of him. Drowning in his stress and sorrow, Rudy gave in, and they ended up in his room. But once it was over, Rudy immediately felt guilty. He rushed out of the room and bumped into Tika, who was standing at the door. When she saw Julie there, she was stunned. Rudy folded his hands and begged her, "Please don't say anything. I'll tell her everything, just not right now." Later that night, Julie quietly slipped out again. She tied Rudy's name onto a new thread and buried it inside that rotting corpse. At the same time, the teacher was praying in his room. Suddenly, a strange, cold breeze brushed past him, like some invisible force was moving around inside. He immediately suspected that dark magic was being performed somewhere nearby. Meanwhile, at home, Rudy suddenly began to feel suffocated, like something was stuck in his throat. Panicked, he ran toward the bathroom and started coughing up blood. Then a horrifying worm hissed as it crawled into his eye and burrowed under his skin. Within seconds, the worm pulled his eyeball out and threw it away. Hearing the noise, Laris rushed inside, screaming. But by then, Rudy had already taken his last breath. The entire family came together for his funeral. But during the prayers, Tika was suddenly pulled into some unknown dark dimension, completely filled with fear. When she opened her eyes again, she was back home, only to see something so terrifying that she screamed loudly enough for the teacher to come running. He asked what happened, but Tika was in such shock, she couldn't speak. Liz took her back to her room where Tika clearly said, "Mom, someone is doing black magic on us." But Lara still believed it was just an unfortunate accident. The next day, Lara stared at an old family photo hanging on the wall. 5 members once, and now only she and Tika are left. Just then, Julie's room door opened on its own. When Lars walked inside, she found Rudy's jacket hanging there. That was enough for her to understand what was going on. At the same moment, Julie also came into the room. Loris, furious, was about to slap her. But for the first time ever, Julie grabbed her hand and slapped her instead. Loris was stunned. Julie, who had obeyed every command for years, was now standing against her. And on top of that, getting close to her husband. A violent fight broke out between the two women, and in the end, Lars kicked Julie out of the house. Later that night while walking down the road, Julie saw Yono talking to Tika. She immediately suspected that Yono must have spoken badly about her. As soon as Tika left, Julie rushed toward him and started questioning him. But Yono insisted he hadn't said anything. Julie, burning with revenge, wasn't going to believe him. She wrote Yono's name on a piece of paper and used her dark magic again, placing it inside a corpse to activate the curse. Meanwhile, Yono had just finished work and was closing his shop. He pulled down the shutter, locked it, and was about to leave, when the shutter lifted up by itself. He pulled it down again, making sure the lock was secure, but once again, it opened on its own. This time, he stepped back inside to check if someone was hiding there. Suddenly, a knocking sound echoed behind him, like a heartbeat pounding against the walls. Terrified, he slowly moved toward the sound. The real horror was just beginning. Yono's face, twisted in unbearable pain. Crawling, he tried desperately to escape outside, but the shutter wouldn't budge. After a long struggle, only a thin opening appeared. He lay flat and began sliding through the gap. His head was just about to come out when the shutter suddenly crashed down. The next morning, Larisse arrived at the shop and saw a crowd gathered outside. Pushing through, she saw Yono's body, dead in the most horrific way. Shocked, Lar collapsed to the ground. But right beside her, Julie didn't show even a trace of fear. With the same chilling expression, she wrote Lars's name on another piece of paper, wrapped it like a spell, and placed it into another corpse, starting her next curse. Back home, Tika was crying as she looked at an old family photo. Suddenly, insects began falling into the picture. She looked up. The ceiling was rotten, and the next moment, a huge piece of it broke off and crashed down. She barely managed to jump away in time. Suddenly, the lights went out. Tika quickly grabbed a flashlight and, trembling with fear, walked toward her mom's room. When she got there, everything was a mess. Even the bed looked like it had been torn apart. She pointed the flashlight underneath, and a hand suddenly popped out. Terrified, Tika started reciting prayers, but they didn't work. Panicking, she ran to her room, hid inside her closet, and called Sijjin for help. Meanwhile, Lars, now completely taken over by a dark force, broke into the house and began searching for Tika. After a moment of silence outside, Tika slightly opened the closet door, but the moment she stepped out, someone grabbed her hair and pulled her hard. She somehow managed to escape, but after just a few steps, she was caught again. Right in time, Shaman arrived and saved her life. Everyone captured Lars and took her to Shaman's house. On their way, Tika noticed a shadow running behind the bushes. She quietly followed it to an old abandoned house. When she opened the door, a horrible rotten smell hit her. Going inside, she saw her grandmother's dead body lying there. At that very moment, Julie arrived and stopped hiding the truth. Tika couldn't understand why Julie hated their family so much. Then, Julie revealed a dark secret from years ago. Her parents didn't die in an accident. They were killed because of black magic performed by Tika's grandmother Amber. Tika was shaken to the core. She tried stopping Uli, but what was about to happen now was beyond anyone's control. Her prayers were no longer useful. Julie was so deeply consumed by dark occult powers that nothing could affect her anymore. Tika realized her mother, Lars, was now stuck between life and death. She rushed back quickly. Shaman was trying to drive the evil force out of Liss's body. After a long battle of chance and clashing energies, Lars finally lost consciousness and collapsed. Meanwhile, Julie was ready to take her final step. If she killed Tika, the curse would be fully completed, and she wouldn't suffer any consequences. But things didn't go the way she planned. Shaman's power was overwhelming. The black magic inside Julie began to turn against her. She felt nauseous. Her body shook violently, and her mind felt like it was about to explode. Within seconds, her body began harming itself. Like the very power that once gave her strength was now destroying her. Finally, in terrible agony, Julie died. 2 large insects crawled out of her body, signs that the evil spirit had left her. But the damage inside Liz was too deep. She couldn't survive for long either, and bit by bit, her life slipped away. Just like that, the family of 5 was now reduced to 1. Only Tika remained alive. Standing before their graves, she raised her hands to the sky, praying for the strength to move forward from all this pain. And with that, the story ends here. Let me know your thoughts in the comments section. Also, subscribe to this channel for more stories like this.